Hey guys, so in today's show, I'm going to bring to you a understanding about Project Bluebeam that is not understood. This is a false flag inside of a PSYOP. I'm going to show you how this is a deception wrapped up in a deception, and I'm going to disclose to you what Project Bluebeam really is, because as you know, the devil has to tell us what he's going to do, but he doesn't have to tell us how he's going to do it, so he can wrap up a false flag inside of a PSYOP. Either way, I'm about to give you the truth, so let's get right into this. Oh, and one last thing, make sure you watch this video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, you won't understand. I gotta cover some groundwork before I can do the great reveal. That way it all makes sense. But believe me when I tell you, it's worth watching to the end. Your mind will be blown at the revelation the Lord has given to me. Now, let's dig in. As we get closer to the end, the truth will become more and more precious, and the people that hold it will have a great responsibility, because the world will reject what they have to say, persecute, hunt them down, and kill them. These truths are hard, and it takes a certain kind of person led by God to bring these truths to the surface. So choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Welcome. So, in order to talk about Project Bluebeam, we need to go back to the beginning of where it supposedly originated. So this is Serge Monast, a Canadian journalist who came up with the quote-unquote conspiracy theory on Project Bluebeam. The first thing I want to point out to you is when he was born and when he died. So as I like to do, I like to take away the 1, because I know that the 1 was added to the timeline. So if you take away the 1, then you have 99 here, which is 18. 8 plus 1 is 9, or it's also 666. That's the year he was born. Notice they don't give you a day, just the year. Okay, because this is spell work. These are the signs to God's people so that we can read the language of numbers and understand that there is evil taking place and that this is a warning for us to heed. Okay, it says he died on the 5th or 6th of December. Either one doesn't really matter, because 5 is the letter V in Roman numerals, which is Vav, which is the 6th Hebrew letter. So 5 or 6, they're both 6. December, that's 12. 12 is 6 plus 6, and the date is the 6th. That's 666. In the year of 996, which is 666, and he was 51, which is 15 backwards. That's 555, which is 666. If you don't follow these numbers, go watch my Dark Numbers video, and you will gain an understanding. That video is not numerology. That is a warning from the Father, Lord Jesus, to his people, so that they will learn how to see this language, which is used by the enemy to hide the truth from us. This is not numerology. This is warnings from the Most High. So, now that we know that this is all completely demonic and a warning from Satan about his plan, let's investigate. So, Serge Monast was a Canadian investigative journalist, poet, and essayist, and a conspiracy theorist. He is known to English-speaking readers mainly for the originating of the conspiracy theory Project Bluebeam, which concerns an alleged plot to facilitate a totalitarian world government by destroying traditional religions and replacing them with a New Age belief system using NASA technology. Well, right off the bat, that's not so hard to believe, is it? We're watching these religions come into a one-world religion under New Age beliefs. In the 1970s and 80s, Manast was a journalist, poet, and essayist. He was an active member of the Social Credit Party of Canada, so he was a communist. In the early 1990s, he started writing on the theme of the New World Order and conspiracies hatched by secret societies, being particularly inspired by the works of William Guy Carr. In 1994, he published Project Bluebeam, NASA, in which he detailed his claim that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via technology simulated second coming of Christ. So, he's saying that NASA, along with the United Nations, is going to use technology to simulate the second coming of Christ. He also gave talks on this topic. Cartoonist Christopher Knowles noted the similarity between Project Bluebeam and the plots of Gene Roddenberry's unreleased 1995 Star Trek movie treatment, The God Thing. Well, it's unreleased, and I've never seen it, so I wouldn't imagine anybody's seen it, so that's a pointless notation. And the 1991 Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Devil's Due, which I've also never seen. In 1995, he published his most detailed work, Les Protocoles de Toronto, 6.6.6, modeled upon the protocols of the Elders of Zion, wherein he said a Masonic group called 6.6.6 had for 20 years been gathering the world's powerful to establish the New World Order and control the minds of individuals. He died, which I have read in another article, mysteriously of a heart attack in his home, December 1996. Okay? A year after he published this work on this Masonic group called 6.6.6. Copies of his work still circulate the internet and have influenced such later conspiracy theorists as American evangelical preacher Taxe Mars. Some of his later works have been reissued by French publisher and conspiracy theorist Jacques Delacroix, along with others writing on the themes of Manast's conspiracy-related work. So, let's dive in a little bit to what this project is all about. But a few things I'd like to point out before we move on, just to keep in mind, is that NASA's technology, along with the UN and New Age belief system, are using this technology to usher in the acceptance of the Antichrist to control the minds of individuals. Alright, so just keep that in mind. So this is an article called Serge Manast, Project Bluebeam Makes Today's Conspiracy Theories Look Sane. So they're trying to paint him in a light where he is absolutely crazy. But understand, this is Satan warning us, just like in the movies where Satan uses fiction to tell the truth. This is the same idea, except after we go through this, I'm going to show you how to see through this, to read behind the words, to see the truth in the lie that they're claiming is the truth. So, what is Project Bluebeam? According to Serge Manast, The four-step project designed by NASA and the United Nations would allow these organizations to accomplish what he believed to be their ultimate goal of creating a New Age religion led by the Antichrist in order to start a New World O dictatorship. NASA would implement Project Bluebeam, Manas believed, with a system of advanced mind control, as well as top secret technology, in order to trick everyone into believing there had been a second coming of sorts. But first, step 1 of Project Bluebeam would involve the manufacture of artificially created earthquakes in strategic locations around the world. These earthquakes would, according to the conspirators' hoaxes, unearth artifacts indicating that religious doctrines of all nations have been misunderstood for centuries, thus discrediting all religions. Okay? This is taking place already. This is already taking place. The second step, Serge Manas claimed, would involve a gigantic space show. During this stage, Project Bluebeam's three-dimensional optical holograms, as well as laser projections of holographic images, would beam across the sky. What would these images include? Projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, etc. will merge into one, Manas said. So I'm not going to read everything, but I will leave these articles linked in the description, so if you want to go read them, then you can. Next, the third step is where mind control would take center stage. Telephonic communication devices would send waves to reach each person within their own minds, convincing each of them that their God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul. Pay close attention to this. Telephonic communication devices. Okay, that's a smartphone. How are they going to connect to this smartphone? With a little something we call 5G. How would these rays be able to reach people's inner minds? Manas explained. Such rays from satellite are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with the natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. Finally, the fourth step of Project Bluebeam would make use of various technologies in order to convince people that alien invasions and the rapture itself were taking place, thus making it easier for the powers that be to take control of a fear-addled populace. The NASA Bluebeam project is the prime directive for the New World O, absolute control over the populations of the Earth. Manas said, I would suggest you investigate this information carefully before dismissing it as fanatic lunacy. Here is another article called Project Bluebeam Conspiracy Theory Suggests NASA has secret plans to create a New World O, and it is on news.com.au. I will also leave this linked. Is there any evidence to suggest the theory? As you would expect, with such a highly contentious topic, there are strong beliefs supporting and discrediting the conspiracy theory. Each of the four stages has evidence suggesting they are underway, although it is possible these things are just a coincidence. The largest supporting evidence for Stage 1 occurred in 2012 when 39 earthquakes rocked the Earth in just 2 days. And if you'll remember, during the lockdowns and the whole kickoff of CV-19, there were earthquakes going around across the Earth like crazy. Way more than 39, hundreds of them, in just a short span of time. Following the event, leading seismologist George said he was puzzled. There is no doubt that something is seriously wrong. There have been too many strong earthquakes. The quakes are a surprise that cannot be easily explained by current scientific technology. he told the watchers. The recent discovery of what some believe to be Jesus Christ's tomb and skeletal remains also gives merit to this stage. Okay, I didn't know about this, but I will tell you, if it was Jesus' tomb, there wouldn't be skeletal remains in it. Stage 2 has the most prolific evidence, with endless sightings of holograms in the sky reported. In addition to a recent city appearance in the cloud over China, there has been a video evidence of a Jesus crucifix and a transparent humanoid both appearing in the sky. While Stage 3 is harder to prove, there has been a whole U.S. government department working to allow communication with the use of vocalized speech through analysis of neural signals. Now, we're going to get to these neural signals. I have some mind-blowing stuff to show you. Having already taken control of monkeys' limbs through telepathy suggests this may not be far off. Stage 4 also lacks substantial evidence, although there's been a number of cases of paranormal investigators discovering ghosts using electronic voice phenomenon recording devices. If all these factors aren't enough to convince you, then maybe the suspicious heart attack death of Manas 2 years after he began trying to expose Project Bluebeam might sway your opinion. Alright, so there is the narrative, okay? Now, I'm going to show you things that are going to put this narrative in a different kind of light. No pun intended. So, many of you might not know this, but NASA literally means to deceive. Now, I had to put a picture up here from my Strong's because it has been changed both in the new Strong's editions and on the internet. So, H5377 NASA, a primitive root to lead astray, i.e. mentally to delude. So this is talking about mind control, or morally to seduce, to beguile, deceive, greatly and utterly. This is what NASA does. It leads the world astray into believing in space, into believing in aliens, into believing in all kinds of stuff. But you can see right here that NASA literally means to seduce you, to lead you astray. This is a company of Satan himself. Okay, this is why the rocket missions are called Apollo and Artemis. Okay, that's Satan. Period. So I just wanted to show you what NASA really means. So step 1, we don't really need to dig too much into, okay? The second step would involve a gigantic space show. During this stage of Project Bluebeam, three-dimensional optical holograms as well as a laser projection of holographic images would beam across the sky. What would these images include? Projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna will emerge into one, Manas said. Let me give you another way to look at this. Okay, this is all about mind control. Okay, what shoots out blue beams? Every single device you look at, your TV, your computer, and especially your smartphone. I am telling you that Project Bluebeam is about screens and the blue light that emits from them possessing you in order to give you this illusion, and I'm going to prove it to you. So, a gigantic space show. So they think that there's going to be these holographic images that come up on the sky, and there's going to be some big space show. Okay, let me give you another way to look at this. The Matrix. How do we get our information? Through your phones, through your screens. All the information is coming through the screens. Okay, this blue beam is shining directly into your eyes, which go through your eye gate, and your eyes are the window to your soul. So this corrupted light can come in and try to possess you and put you under mind control. Let me show you the technology for this. This is U.S. Patent 6506148B2. Nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Okay, that's your TV, your computer, your phone. Okay, but when this patent was applied for, smartphones were not a thing. So just keep that in mind as they were getting ready, because they were about to be a thing. Psychological effects have been observed in a human subject in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed with certain frequencies near half hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material, or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal or as a video signal. The image displayed on the computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. Okay, so this means you are not going to be able to see the pulse. You're not going to be able to see the field. So, in a sense, this is happening to you right now as you watch this video. But understand that no weapon formed against us will harm us if you are saved and under the protection of the Lord Jesus. These things are going to have an effect on the masses who have not Christ. You can see here that all these beams are coming out. It said it can come out in a radio frequency signal or a video signal. So it can be a sound wave or an optical wave. Let's see the background of the invention. The invention relates to the stimulation of the human nervous system by electromagnetic field applied externally to the body. A neurological effect of external electric fields has been mentioned by Weiner in a discussion of the bunching of brain waves through nonlinear interactions. The electric field was arranged to provide a direct electrical driving of the brain. Okay, look at this. Direct electrical driving of the brain. That means that they're going to be driving, not you. Weiner describes the field as set up to a 10 Hz alternating voltage of 400 volts applied in a room between ceiling and ground. Brennan in 1992 describes the U.S. patent number 5169380, an apparatus for alleviating disruptions in circadian rhythms of a mammal, in which an alternating electric field is applied across the head of the subject by two electrodes placed in a short distance from the skin. Now, before I move on, I want to point out that it's saying that these will have an effect on the neurological system. So I'll bring you back to this paragraph right here. While stage 3 is harder to prove, there have been a whole U.S. government departments working to allow communication without the use of vocalized speech, so telepathy, through analysis of neural signals. Having already taken control of a monkey's limbs through telepathy suggests this might not be far off. So, through these frequencies, okay, these visual frequencies or auditorial frequencies, they can affect your neurological system. And when they can do that, they can take control over you and drive your brain. Okay? This is coming from the screens. Now, we're going to get into this, don't you worry. But I'm telling you right now, This is about your phones. And Project Bluebeam is a psyop wrapped up in a deception. Okay? It's got everybody looking to the sky, not even contemplating that it's taking place on them right now through their devices. So let's cruise over here to claims. It says, I claim a method for manipulating the nervous system of a subject located near a monitor. The monitor emitting an electromagnetic field when displaying an image by virtue of the physical display process. The subject having a sensory resonance frequency, the method comprising creating a video signal for displaying an image on the monitor, the image having an intensity, modulating the video signal for pulsing the image intensity with a frequency in the range of 0.01 Hz to 15 Hz, and setting the pulse frequency to the resonance frequency. Okay, resonance means to build up. Understand that what is coming out of these new towers is frequency. Okay, that's electromagnetic fields that are being broadcast out of these towers into our devices, into our bodies, for the purpose of possession and mind control, to convince us in this matrix of things that are happening that are not happening. Understand that if you are getting brainwashed and someone has control of your mind, and they want to convince you that what you're seeing on your phone is true, then what you're seeing on your phone is true. You're not going to be able to not believe it because you're not in control. You're not driving. A computer program for manipulating the nervous system of a subject located near a monitor, the monitor emitting an electromagnetic field when displaying an image by virtue of the physical display process, the subject having cutaneous nerves that fire spontaneously and having spiking patterns, the computer program compromising a display routine for displaying an image on the monitor, the image having an intensity, a pulse routine for pulsing the image intensity with a frequency range of 0.01 to 15 Hz, a frequency routine that can be internally controlled by the subject for setting the frequency, whereby the emitted electromagnetic field is pulsed. The cutaneous nerves are exposed to the pulse electromagnetic field, and the spiking patterns of the nerve acquire a frequency modulation. Okay, this is talking about taking control over you. All right? Once they have control over you, they can make you do anything and believe anything, like you need to get the mark. So I don't know why these three are light, but I'll read them anyways. 3. The computer program of Claim 2, which was this one, wherein a pulsing in amplitude and the program further compromises an amplitude routine for the control of the amplitude by the subject. 4. The computer program of 2 claims wherein the pulse routine compromises a timing procedure for timing the pulsing and an extrapolation procedure for improving the accuracy of the timing procedure. The computer program of Claim 2 further compromising a variability routine for introducing variability in the pulsing. So I'm not going to read all this because I got more to show you, but we're going to just go down a little further and we'll read number 6. I'll also leave all this stuff linked, so if you guys want to look into this more, you can, because it's pretty intense. Number 6, hardware means for manipulating the nervous system of a subject located near a monitor. The monitor being responsive to a video stream and emitting an electromagnetic field when displaying an image by virtue of the physical display process. The image having an intensity, the subject having cutaneous nerves that fire spontaneously and having spiking patterns. The hardware means compromising. I find it interesting that they're talking about spikes. We've been hearing a lot about spikes, haven't we? Pulse generator for generating voltage pulses means responsive to voltage pulses for modulating the video stream to pulse of the image intensity, whereby the emitted electromagnetic field is pulsed. The cutaneous nerves are exposed to the pulsed electromagnetic field, and the spiking patterns of the nerves acquire a frequency modulation. I hope you can see what this says. I know it's a bunch of scientific jargon, but this is talking about spiritual possession, taking over your body. Don't think for 1 second that, oh, this just means they're going to be able to control the body. It doesn't say anything about spirituality. This whole thing is spiritual warfare. It's all about spirituality. Every piece of everything that I show in my videos is about spirituality. All of it. This whole creation is about spirituality. It's about the war in the mind. Spiritual warfare between good and evil, between God and the devil. And we are in the middle. Okay? Let's take a look at blue light. How does it affect our eyes? The world is pulsing with electromagnetic energy. Isn't that what we were just talking about them using to possess us? It travels around us and even through us in waves. Okay? The waves vary in length, with the longest being radio waves, which they said radio frequencies. They can use that to possess us. Microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet. The shortest include electromagnetic spectrum off, X-rays, gamma rays. Most electromagnetic waves are visible, but a small band of waves known as visible light can be detected by the human eye. Visible light waves vary in length from 380 nanometers violet light to 700 nanometers red light. Wavelength of blue light. Okay, now this is important. This is why they use blue light. Okay? The longer the wave, the less energy it transmits. Blue light has a very short, high energy waves. This is the pulse we were just reading about in that US patent. This is Project Bluebeam, you guys. Just try to be open to what I'm saying to you and forget about the holograms in the sky for a minute, because I'm going to explain it all in a way that's going to absolutely blow your mind. In fact, they're only slightly longer and less powerful than UV waves, which are too short for people to see with the naked eye. Health experts have warned against the harmful effect of UV rays, which can damage your skin and your eyes. High energy blue light waves are nearly as powerful. So they're using the most strong light ray, right? Remember the 7 rays of Lucifer, right? One of them is blue light. And this blue light is in our technology, which I have shown you in many different ways, is demonically possessed devices. What produces blue light? Blue light, like other colors of visible light, is all around you. The sun emits blue light, so do fluorescent and incandescent bulbs. Have you ever met a person, or are you a person who has gone into a big store and the lights are buzzing and the light that's being cast gives you anxiety? Okay, this is what's happening to you. Understand that. Human beings are exposed to more blue light than ever because of the widespread use of devices that rely on light-emitting diode technology, LEDs. Computers and laptop screens, flat-screen televisions, cell phones, tablets all use LED technologies with a high amount of blue light. Here you can see the color spectrum. Here is UV light, okay, making it into the cornea. Here is ultraviolet B hitting the outside of the cornea, and here is blue light passing right through the lens, the cornea, the iris, right into the optical nerve. Okay, right into your soul. This is the gateway to your soul. This is why they use it, because it is the most powerful ray of light that can enter into your eye. Okay, are you getting it? Blue beam, blue light. You see what I'm getting at? Watch this. Optical fiber. An optical fiber, in Commonwealth English, is flexible glass or plastic fiber that can transmit light from one end to the other. So, this is how the blue light is conveyed, okay? Either through the air or through fiber optics. Okay, this is how we receive data. So no matter what, it's all coming from somewhere. Even the wireless signals are coming from fiber optic connections. That wasn't how it always was. Okay, the serpent, the copper serpent, the blue blood, right? Think of the wires and all the stuff going around as a copper serpent weaving its way all across the nation. Okay? The traditional copper wire network has been around since the 1880s, is no longer going to be supported by the major phone carriers in the U.S. Most carriers have moved on to newer technologies such as fiber optics. This is the modern day forbidden fruit. You can do anything on the internet. You can use it to gain knowledge of good, and you can use it to gain knowledge of evil. This is the modern day forbidden fruit. This is why Apple's logo is an apple. This information used to travel through copper. Okay, copper is blue blood, the serpent. Okay, serpents have copper-based bloods as humans have iron-based blood. Okay, so reptiles, copper blood. Copper serpent weaving its way through the country for your power lines, through your telephone lines, through your cable lines, all right? But now it's being changed over to fiber optics. Why is this important to know? 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Satan is transformed into light. Okay? Used to be copper, now is light. And if you want to talk about the 5 jizzle and the Wi-Fi, I will just point out this scripture. And you hath he quickened, this is Ephesians 2. And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, that's the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we had our conversations in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of our flesh and of the mind. Okay? Straight up telling us, the prince of the power of the air, that is Satan, okay? Who works in the children of disobedience. So there's your 5 jizzle, there's your Wi-Fi. Among whom also we had our conversations in times past in the lust of the flesh. That means doing what you want, doing what feels good, fulfilling the desires of your flesh, doing what you want, and of the mind. That is eating from the forbidden tree, learning the knowledge of good and evil. So back to fiber optics. Okay, this is transmitting the light. Fiber optic light, that's all 7 rays. This is who General Flynn was praying about. Let's continue to read because something very interesting happens here. Such fibers find wide usage in fiber optic communication, where they permit transmission over long distances at a higher bandwidth data transfer rate than electrical cables. the copper serpent who used to bring the forbidden fruit, the knowledge of good and evil, through your internet connection, through your copper cable line, through your copper power cables, is now coming to you as fiber optics. And now you receive the forbidden fruit through light, the 7 rays, Lucifer, the light bringer. Fibers are used instead of metal wires because signals travel along them with less loss. In addition, fibers are immune to electromagnetic interference. Okay, they're immune to the interference. That means they can pump out these pulses that I showed you the US patent on into the screens, into the technologies, and the information coming in, the light, Lucifer coming in to give you the knowledge of good and evil, will not be interfered with. A problem from which metal wires suffer. I hope you can see what I'm showing you. The spiritual implications are immense. Now, this is where it gets crazy. Listen to the wording used here. Fibers are also used for illumination and imaging and are often wrapped in bundles, so they may carry light into or images out of confined spaces, as in the case of a fiber scope. Now, before I get to fiber scope, let me just rehash this and show you some scripture. Fibers are used for illumination. Okay, this is bringing to you the light of Lucifer and making you in the image of Lucifer. Okay, so fibers that are used for illumination and imaging make you into a tare. Okay, not wheat, but a tare. This is a parable of the weeds. I'll just start from the beginning for people that don't know it. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then it hath tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. Okay, so where did the tares come from? An enemy has done this. Okay, these fibers are bringing the light of Lucifer in and making people in the image of Lucifer, okay, the image of the beast, all right? And what happens to the tares? The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Okay, because people that are surfing the internet are not all bad. Some are using it to find good information, okay? And only good information. So let both grow together until harvest, which is the end times. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. Fibers are used to illuminate and make images, okay? And are often wrapped in bundles. I hope you can see what is happening here, because it's clear as day to me. So they may be used to carry light, okay, light of Lucifer, or images of the beast out of confined spaces. So they want to break out. The enemy is coming out into view. This is happening right now, as in the case of a fiber scope. A fiber scope is a flexible optical fiber with an eyepiece on one end and a lens on the other that is used to examine and inspect small, difficult to reach places such as inside of machines, locks, and the human body. So it is a flexible eyepiece, one eye that can reach into the human body to see. This is Operation Bluebeam. Since we are on the topic and I just read the parable of wheat and tares, the sheep and the goats, okay, I thought I would show you something that I found very interesting today when I was researching for this. So I was looking up goats and sheep and what they eat, because I know that sheep will eat wheat and grass and goats like to eat weeds, tares, which is no coincidence. On each search that I did, only 2 of them had numbers. This one, which said 88 things sheep can eat and 62 they can't. So you have 88, your portal, and 62, that's 2 6s, 66. There's your Apollo. Then I found this one, 17, Q, things goats like to eat most. I don't have anything more to say on that. I just found it very interesting as I was looking this up. Okay, because I was just wanted to show you what the tares are and why this parable is so awesome. Lolium temulentum, typically known as darnel. Okay, darnel, this is the tares. Poison darnel, darnel ryegrass, or cockle is an annual plant of the genus Lolium within the family of whatever this says. The plant stem can grow up to 1 meter tall with inflorescence in the ears and purple-green. Okay, darnel usually grows in the same production zones as wheat and was a serious weed of cultivation until modern sorting machinery enabled darnel seeds to be separated efficiently from seed wheat. The similarity between these 2 plants is so great that in some regions darnel is referred to as false wheat. It bears a close resemblance to wheat until the ear appears. The spikes of the plant are more slender than those of wheat. The spikelets are oriented edgeways to the rachis and only have a single glume, while those of wheat are oriented with the flat side to the rachis and have 2 glooms. Wheat will appear brown when ripe, whereas darnel is black. Darnel can be infected by endophytic fungus of the genus Neotyphodium, and the endophyte produced incesticidal low-lean alkaloids were first isolated from this plant. The French word for darnel is ivrea. I don't know how to say that. From the Latin abraicus, intoxicated it means, which expressed the drunken nausea from eating the infected plant, which can be fatal. The French name echoes the scientific name, Latin temulentus, drunk. This article is called Wheat's Evil Twin, and I'll leave all this linked. I just want to read a little bit of it. For many centuries, perhaps for as long as humans have cultivated cereal grains, wheat's evil twin has insinuated itself into our crops. In a big enough dose, this grass, darnel, can kill a person, right? Because sin kills. Okay, the tares are going to be bundled up and burned. Sin kills. And look, it's insinuated itself into the crops of wheat. And farmers would have to take care to separate it out from their true harvest unless they were planning to add darnel to beer or bread on purpose in order to get high. Darnel is a mimic weed, neither entirely tame or quite wild, that looks and behaves so much like wheat that it can't live without human assistance. Do you see the depth of the parable of the wheat and the tares taking place now? Do you see how deep this really gets? Darnel seeds are stowaways, okay? An enemy hath done this. The plant's survival strategy requires its seed to be harvested along with those of domesticated grasses stored and replanted next season. This is unbelievable. Why am I reading to you this about the darnel weed? Well, number one, because it was talking about fiber optics, almost matched up spiritually, word for word with Matthew 13 in the parable. But it also is used to get you drunk and high. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober. Be vigilant. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Where do you think this roaring lion is walking about? In the field full of wheat and tares. The tares are drunk. God says, be sober and be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about the field, seeking whom he may devour.